Well, hello, IDS 105 students, and welcome to Module 7, Week 7 in your IDS 105 course. I am Melanie Shop, your IDS 105 Learning Community Gal, just walking you through what is due and where to find everything quickly for Week 7. So as always, y'all, go into your course menu, Learning Modules, scroll down to the week you're looking for. This week, we're focusing in on Module 7. Click the blue gets you where you want to go, and you'll pull up the module introduction. Always make sure you guys are going through the module introduction for the overview and the objectives. I say it every week, but it's so important so you know what really is due for your class and how to find everything. As always, scroll all the way down and arrow over. A couple things I want to point out for this week is you will be completing that project, that guidebook here in IDS 105. You will notice that the Module 7 guide will just give you kind of an overview of what you're doing this week and some key questions to think about. But the biggest thing I want you all to know is that you are not starting from scratch for this final project guidebook. You have been working on this document all term long, okay? So as you get into this week, you can scroll through the required resources. There is no required like reading or anything like that this week because you're centering in on that final project. There is a few optional resources if you would like to view those. Here for the Module 7 week, you do have a optional discussion. I say optional because it is not graded. It is just an opportunity for you if you have any questions about the guidebook or the final project, you want to share some tips of how you kind of put things together or any resources that you utilize for your success or just kind of what you've thought of the class so far. That is what the discussion board is there for here in week 7 for module 7, okay? Do not post any part of your project or anything that it would be graded in this space. This is literally just here so you can share your thoughts, share some tips if you want to. It's completely optional. It's not graded. But I wanted to point that out because you do see a discussion listed in this week's assignment. As I mentioned earlier, this is the week you're turning in that project, okay? So as always, you want to click on Guidelines and Rubric, and it's going to give you the overview of the project and what you're doing. So as a reminder, you have been working on this project all term long. So you picked a scenario back in Module 2, and you use that scenario to help you answer the questions for week 2, week 3, week 4, and then in week 5, you also got to bring the conflict, pick one of the conflicts from your chosen scenario and bring that into play, right? So at this point, when you utilize that template, you've answered all of the questions that are part of that template. Remember, when you guys look at it, yours isn't highlighted. This is just for ease of being able to see the different weeks. But at this point, you would have this entire document filled out. You would have your scenario listed. You would have the conflict that you picked listed. You would have part 1 completely filled out and already graded, part 2 filled out and graded, and then part 3 filled out and graded. So now what your job is to do is you actually want to go back and look in your grade center, okay? And you can find that by clicking on this course menu and click on grades and go through each project draft assignment, okay? Look and see what your faculty member, your instructor told you. Did you do really well on the project draft? Is there any areas where maybe you needed to provide some more information, give some extra details, maybe use examples? If you have changes or there was recommended edits for you to make, you want to do those for week 7. Again, you are not starting all over. For some of you, you may have done very well on this project and don't have any changes. Well, then your assignment's ready to go. But what I encourage you to do is look through that document one more time. Now that we're here in Module 7, go back and look at week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and just make sure that everything lays out and is explained and detailed in examples in the way that you want it. But the biggest thing is, I will tell you when I grade these, I pull up my students' past drafts and compare them to the final project that they turned in to make sure if I recommended any changes or wasn't sure on something or needed some more information. When they turned in that final document in Module 7, those items that I needed or had questions about were present and answered, okay? So just a reminder, you're not starting from scratch. You still are going to be utilizing that same template. You're going to be making sure that you're just double checking all the questions that you answered, no matter if you chose the school scenario, personal or workplace, and then over whatever conflict you might have listed. You'll notice under the directions, it just is going to list all the questions that the template had on it. As a reminder, the template's right here in case you need it. Click the blue, get to where you want to go. When you open it up, this should already be completed. Also, in case you need to look back at the scenario profiles again, click underneath supporting materials, scenario profiles, and you'll see all the details information for each of the scenarios. The other thing I wanted to point out is if you used the template questions, that maybe you created your own documents each week, or maybe when you turned in you used the template, but when you turned in the assignment, you just submitted like that part of the assignment for each week. When you turn in your final guidebook, that final project, you need to have one complete document. So one document that reads from start to finish with all of the answers and all of the questions that were listed on the template. Okay, just make sure you have all the pieces, you have all the parts, because I know sometimes I have students they'll open up that template and they'll use that same template all term long, and then they just go through that and turn it in. Sometimes I have students who separate that template into different documents, or maybe they completely did a different document. They created a new Word page, but they still answered the questions. All of those things are okay. You just need to make sure for your final project, you turn in one cohesive document that has all the pieces and parts of the questions that were assigned for each section of the template, okay? If you are stuck, if you have questions, remember to utilize your resources. Reach out to the academic support team. Utilize the written feedback services where you can upload and submit your drafts or assignments for written feedback. Select the areas you want the tutor to focus on, and you get feedback within 12 hours. This time of the term, they get real busy. So it could even be a little bit more than 12 hours. So I encourage you to work ahead earlier in the week versus later in the week, okay? The other thing I remind you too is that last week in week 6 in the Learning Community webinar, the academic support team and I went through how to put this project together, how to utilize their services. So make sure that you definitely check that. As a reminder, your final project is due on Sunday of week 7, module 7. Again, you're not starting from scratch. You're not creating anything new. You've already done all the work. Now it's your job to just go in, review your past graded feedback for each project draft, make any edits that were recommended or any changes or additions that you might have needed to make. And if you have questions about what your instructor is looking for, do not hesitate to reach out to them, okay? Y'all, it's going to be great. We're almost to the finish line. After you turn in this project, the only thing you have for Module 8, Week 8 is a discussion assignment. So get this off your plate. Get ready to finish these next couple of weeks. Finish strong. Reach out to your instructor if you have questions. Utilize your resources. And remember, you got this.